Kurinin and 18 both have the understanding of family values. Someone told me their problem with 18 was basically that she seems too money hungry. But when you look at the actual series, every time she wants money, it's to provide for her family. She entered the tournament because she wanted more money to help provide. Listen, if you live with your spouse and your 2-year-old daughter with a 300-plus-year-old perverted man in that small house, I'm pretty sure you want to get out of there too, right? So I can't blame 18 for wanting to have the money to provide, which it looks like they were able to eventually provide for their own selves in Dragon Ball Super. And then in Krillin, doing the police job, wanting to basically provide for his family. There's that unity. They really both want the best for Marin, and that's what I really love. And I've also got to give a shout out to Geekdom 101, one of the most knowledgeable Dragon Ball fans on the planet. He talked a lot about the relationship between Krillin and 18 and what it means to show that it goes so much deeper than looks at times, basically, because everyone has a preference when it comes to who they're attracted to. I'll even say that applies to looks as well, which is one of the reasons I really like Team 4-Star's take on the 18 kissing Krillin scene, where I think 18 calls society's definition of beauty BS or something. So definitely shout out to TFS writers Kaiser Neko, Lenny Patur, and Takahata 101, because it definitely adds to my point about how some people are going to look at Krillin like, oh, he's a short guy, and then you have 18 like, oh, they're going to think, well, there's no way she's going to want anything to do with this short guy with the way they look. But it's not about that. It's so much more. Krillin and 18 had this emotional connection, and I really love that Toriyama put that together, and you see this put to the test in Dragon Ball Super in the Tournament of Power, at least in the anime version, where Ribrianne was basically, she talked all this whole time about love this, love that, and when she found out Krillin was 18, she's like, he's ugly, why would you marry that? And 18 lit her up, did that awesome tribute to when Goku killed King Piccolo, basically with the fists and everything, and blowing her up and everything, and it made a huge impact, because from that moment she said, I guess, love goes far deeper than basically what you can see with your eyes, which is one of the biggest things I think Toriyama has done with this relationship. So I really do like that dynamic between Krillin and 18. Linux did make a good point. I personally am not a fan, and I know they do it a lot in like the Funimation where 18 calls him a wimp, and even in the anime mostly and stuff. I'm not a really big fan of that, but at the same time I do also see the other flip side part of that, where basically it's what pushes him. Like there is a part in Super where they did something with the writing where he got hit by a bullet. Since when? Launch has been shooting Krillin in the face with a machine gun for how long? So what has gone on with Krillin in Dragon Ball Super? The fact that he is down, he's getting hurt by bullets and stuff. But at the end of the day, when you get past that, I do think 18 is there for him and loves him and pushes him. And like you said, Lennox, she's not going to let anybody, talk down on Krillin. She might do it, but she's not going to let anybody come down there and talk about it. And I just think it's really good. And it's a great story for Krillin, especially if you go anime only with Marin. When he gave up Marilyn, the one with the blue hair during the Garlic Jr. saga, which I know is forbidden, right? Fun times. I just gotta say it, Garlic Jr. saga. Whoever forgets the classic line, "Come the Big Daddy Garlic."
See, I thought about that in my head. I wasn't going to say it, but I thought it.
That line always cracks me up. But the thing is, in that arc, Krillin thought that Marin was too good for him. And when he ended up letting her go, she was going to say, I would have said yes. And then when Krillin was like, oh, she would have, she just gets in with another guy and just hops off, which is a good sign that Krillin should have never got with her and everything. But then later on, he meets 18 and things are a lot more better and it works out for him. And Kat, you're right. They took the time to know each other. So that's why I agree that they are definitely a better couple, just slightly over Goku and Chichi from a family standpoint. All right, Rebecca, go ahead and finish us off.
Wait, did you say just slightly?
Yeah, because I said in my opinion, because as I mentioned earlier, when you usually see Chi-Chi yelling at Goku, it's for a pretty good reason, whereas in the anime version, it just seems like there's these times 18 makes these straight up mean comments towards Krillin. I'll use a couple examples in the anime version of Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power arc. I think it's like between episodes 99 and 100. So 18 basically lets her guard down and is nearly eliminated, but Krillin ends up going ahead and saving her, and and basically decides to poke a little fun at her by pointing out her mistake, because as we see earlier in episodes of Dragon Ball Super, 18 has no problem pointing out Krillin's mistakes, but 18, she ends up getting annoyed by this and ends up telling him not to laugh, and even the Elder Kaioshin's like, oh, that could have been a really touching moment. But then later on, when Krillin lets his guard down, like moments later, and is eliminated, everybody just goes ahead and verbally craps on the guy, and his wife, who you think would have his back the most, ends up making the comment that, oh, and you call yourself my husband, and just makes Krillin feel like total crap. And from there, it just comes off to me in that moment that 18 doesn't like Krillin calling her out on her mistakes, but it's okay for her to call out Krillin on his mistakes. And I'm like, yeah, that just doesn't sit well with me. And then my second example comes again from an anime only scenario with the ending of Dragon Ball Z, is basically where during the Tenkaichi Budokai, aka World Martial Arts Tournament, 18 asks Krillin why didn't he enter the Tenkaichi Budokai, and he responds basically that he doesn't have a chance against Goku or Vegeta. And honestly, when you think about how Dragon Ball Super takes place before the end of Dragon Ball Z, who knows how strong these guys are within that in that tournament, with like the people you had in there, like what, Goku, Vegeta, Goten, Trunks, I think Fat Majin Buu, Pan, and a reincarnated Kid Buu in the form of Oob. So yeah, 18's response to justify her question is that she won the tournament 10 years prior, but gave the victory to Mark Satan. And Krillin's quick to point out how in that tournament, Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, etc., they all forfeit due to the whole Majin Buu fiasco. And if we're honest here, we know 18 even back then had no chance against a slacking Gohan. And then that being said, it's basically her only response to this is to tell her husband that he has no nerves or guts, something along those lines, once again making Krillin feel like utter crap, which basically always made me wonder at that point, like, well, if 18 was that confident that he could earn some cash, then why didn't she enter, given that she's even stronger than Krillin? So yeah, it's just those little things. But once again, these are examples that aren't present in their manga counterparts, so it's most likely just the writing staff at Toei who wants to add this unnecessary element to their relationship. That's why in the anime I say they are just slightly above Goku and Chichi, because at least there's a much stronger sense of family values between both Krillin and 18, plus neither one is going to abandon the other, unlike Goku at the end of the series. However, on the flip side, Goku and Chichi sure don't talk to one another the way that 18 does to Krillin. So if we're talking strictly what Toriyama himself has written, I agree, way better couple than Goku and Chichi. But go ahead, Rebecca, let us know what you thought on this couple.
I mean, I feel like there's nothing I can say that you guys haven't said already. I definitely agree with what you're saying in terms of like, I like that in the beginning, it wasn't, yeah, there was like an immediate attraction because, oh, wow, she's pretty. But it wasn't, she wasn't just like, you like me, I like you now. It was like a slow burn, you know, like they slowly started to get to know each other and all this stuff. And then at one point you see it clearly. And that's what I was thinking of before you mentioned it, where like she watches him fly off and she's like, he's so cool. Like she said in the English, they're like, oh, he's so cool. So for me, you clearly see that admiration with each other. And even in just the little things like, oh, they were going to Bulma's birthday, I think it was. And they were in the car and it was like traffic. And they're like, well, like, you know, come on, like time to go. So they just like turned the car into a capsule and they flew off. It just like as a family, it was just like, I don't know, these cute little moments together, which again, if I have to keep comparing it, I think of like Goku and Chichi and Gohan. There wasn't really like a family dynamic. It was like Goku is the father of Gohan and Chichi is the father, but it wasn't like a whole like tight-knit family. Whereas even like I said, even in the little moments with Android 18 and Kurlin, you still see like these cute little like family type like fluff pretty much. So when you see it, you're like, oh, that's so cute. So yeah, like I said, I agree with what you guys are saying. I like that it was like a slow fade into love, and there's clearly like admiration there. So I like that.
For sure, and I'll just add one more thing too, is I really liked in the Super Buu part when they were on the lookout and everything, how even though 18's far stronger than Krillin, he cared more about the safety of them and having her lead the family and friends out while Krillin takes on Super Buu knowing he didn't have a chance. One of the most heartbreaking moments I ever saw in Dragon Ball. Oh man, that scarred me all day seeing Super Buu kill them. The poor Marilyn 18 like that and the whole family and friends. But we're gonna move on to number 2. So yeah, they barely got it out here. here, but thanks to the help of people on social media, number 2 came in as Son Gohan and Videl. I'm going to kick us off here because they are, to me, my favorite couple. They are the greatest couple